I remember my first breath. It wasn't just arid. It was life. It was warm, intentional, holy. I opened my eyes to a light that didn't burn and a voice that didn't frighten me. He stood before me, but his face was pure glory, too bright to truly see, like the morning sun folded into fire. I knew him instantly, without being told. It felt like I was made knowing him. The ground beneath my feet was soft, dark, and alive. I looked at my hands. They were strong, formed for work, yet untouched by struggle. When he spoke my purpose, it settled into my being like a forgotten memory, not a new instruction. Tend the garden, keep it. It was simple. It was everything. As I walked, the earth itself seemed to respond to my steps. The grass sprung up, the flowers turned their faces toward me. I named the animals, and each name felt perfect, as though the words were already waiting on my tongue. The lion, the eagle, the dolphin, each one seemed to agree with its own identity as I spoke it. Yet, in the midst of all that breathtaking beauty, I felt a quiet absence. It was like an echo in a room with only one voice. A beautiful song with a missing harmony. Then, he caused a deep sleep to fall over me. It wasn't a sleep of weariness, but of creation. From my side, from my very bone and flesh, he formed her. When I woke and saw her, a wave of joy rushed through me like the first river breaking its banks. It was a feeling I didn't know I was missing until that very moment. "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh," I said. The words came out not from thought, but from my soul. We were naked, but there was no shame. Why would there be? There was nothing to hide, nothing to fear. We were whole, and we were together. We walked with God in the cool of the day, and His presence was as natural and as necessary as breathing. It was a perfect communion, a perfect peace. In the very center of the garden stood two trees. One was the tree of life, its leaves shimmering with endless vitality. The other was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He had warned us gently but with a firm love, "Do not eat from it. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." Death. It was just a word to us then. A concept we couldn't grasp, like trying to imagine darkness when all you've ever known is light. Then came the voice that did not belong. It was smooth, subtle. The serpent. It didn't speak with force, but with a slippery suggestion, a question designed to plant a seed of doubt. Did God really say? I heard it. I stood there, and I listened. I should have spoken up. I should have remembered the sound of God, His voice, that voice of pure love and truth, and measured all other sounds against it. But I was silent. Eve stood closer to the tree than I had ever dared. The fruit was beautiful, almost glowing. It promised something more, something hidden. When she took a bite, the world didn't end. There was no thunder, no fire from the sky. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen at all. She looked at me, her eyes wide, and she offered it. And I took it. The moment the fruit touched my lips, something tore inside of me. It wasn't flesh, it was my peace, my innocence. My eyes were opened, but what I saw first wasn't wisdom, it was myself. For the very first time, I felt exposed, vulnerable, wrong. Shame, a feeling I had never known, rushed in like a cold, bitter wind. We grabbed 4 fig leaves, desperately trying to cover ourselves, our flimsy attempt to hide from this new reality. Then we heard Him, the sound of God walking in the garden. The sound that once brought us running to Him in joy now sent us scrambling into the shadows. We hid. We actually hid from the one who gave us life. His voice called out, not in anger, but in a tone that broke my heart. "Adam, where are you?" He wasn't asking because He didn't know. He was asking because I no longer knew where I stood. I was lost. I answered, my voice trembling with a new emotion. Fear. I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked. So I hid. The very air in the garden grew heavy. The consequences were spoken, not in rage, but in a voice of justice, soaked with sorrow. The ground would now resist me, bringing forth thorns and thistles. Pain would be intertwined with the joy of new life. Separation would mark our days. We were being sent out, exiled from our home. And yet, even then, there was mercy. In the middle of our deserved judgment, God himself made garments of skin for us. He clothed us, covering the shame we couldn't cover ourselves. Even as the gates of Eden closed behind us, a promise was spoken, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. He promised that one day the serpent who deceived us would be crushed. As we left Eden, I looked back one last time. The garden still breathed with life, beautiful and perfect, but it was no longer ours. We had lost our home, but we did not leave with nothing. Hope walked with us, a tiny, flickering candle in our hearts. Because though we fell by a tree, I had a feeling God had already planned for another one, a different kind of tree, one where redemption itself would one day grow. The lesson in my story is this: my sin brought shame, fear, and brokenness into the world. But God's immediate response was not just judgment, but mercy. After the fall came hiding and fear, yet God still sought us out. He clothed us, and he promised redemption. It shows that even when we fail, even when we fall so far, his heart is for restoration, not just destruction. He is always making a way back to him. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, please consider subscribing for more reflections on faith and life.